All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to give an update on the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight. According to Ishai Smith, former welterweight contender, former TMT fighter on Twitter, releasing information that he says he got from a reliable source. Let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be talking about an update that is hopefully good news out of Ishai Smith about the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. fight. This is not my source. Again, this is his source, but from what he says, sounds like good news. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, thank you for coming to the channel and supporting the channel. If you wouldn't mind, and if you like the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the like button so you can continue to have boxing conversations with us over on this platform. And that's what this platform is about. It's really about conversations around boxing. It's not a news outlet. This is not, I'm not a promotional outfit for anybody. We just chop up boxing about whatever topics are flying out there in the wind. If you join, you will definitely get a good opportunity in the comment sections and the live streams that we do every day to chop it up about boxing. That's what we offer. So I hope you accept, hit that subscribe, hit that bell icon so you'll know when we do it. All right, so let's get into this, man. Biggest fight in boxing, which ahead of time, I'm going to tell you, Dan Rayfield will say did 275,000 pay-per-views. No matter what anybody else says, it's going to happen the day after the reports come out. Sorry, man, I just saw something on the news, made me think about that. But regardless, biggest fight, I think the biggest fight in boxing that's going to take place, that is realistically able to take place this year. Maybe this year or next year. You have Errol Spence Jr., who's the WBC, WBA, and the IBF champion, and you have Terence Crawford, who's the WBO champion. They have been, the negotiations have been confirmed by Errol Spence Jr. However, as of right now, there's not been any announcement, but over on Twitter just recently, Ishai Smith put out that he got from reliable sources that fight is already done, that everything is agreed to, and the only thing that they're waiting to do is to find a date. So now along that same line, you heard there have been reporters, like, for example, a reporter that I respect a lot is Jake Donovan out of boxing scene. And I'm telling you, I'm hard on the boxing media in large part because a lot of these guys are doing marketing work, in my opinion. Other guys really are doing boxing journalism, and they are giving the facts. They're getting straight, verified facts with sources that they are willing to reveal and report those, and after the fact, it winds up being very consistent and wind up 99 out of 100 times being actually what transpired. And Jake Donovan out of boxing scene is one of those guys, and he said that, you know, that the idea that the contract, that the deals is already pretty much done is not the case because, you know, he, and I'm sure I'm not sure if he was referring to an interview or whether he was referring specifically to a conversation that he had with Steven Espinoza, but he said that, you know, Steven Espinoza said that is not true. Now, I remember a interview that was given with Steven Espinoza, where Steven Espinoza said what the problem was and the holdup was to the fight, and that was the finances. Specifically, he said that they were not going to be willing to pay Mayweather type money for that fight because the fight is a big fight, but it is not a Mayweather. It's not going to justify Mayweather type paydays for fighters. And that jived with what other people had leaked out regarding what Terence Crawford's initial asking price was. However, you know, in the words of Fat Joe, yesterday's prices ain't today's prices, or yesterday's news can change on a dime and things can get worked out. So there's a potential that Ishai Smith could have heard something He's in Vegas. He is very familiar and knows people in the PBC, used to fight on the PBC. So what he's saying should not be completely dismissed out of hand. To boot, I would absolutely positively hope that what he says is true, because we need this fight. We need this fight in boxing. We had a very, very good year this year so far with a bunch of really excellent fights, pretty much all the way from February all the way to June. The lineup for boxing in the second half of the year is starting to take form, right? So, like, for example, you have Ryan Garcia announce his fight with Fundora. I mean, not Fundora, obviously not Fundora. He's a 154 pounder. Javier Fortuna. And then you have Adrian Bronner announced his comeback against Omar Figueroa to be taking place later on in the year. You have the Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk fight, where they said that it's going to be that day. I don't know if the date has been established firmly, but the location in the Middle East, I do believe that's been settled. Then you also have, Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin 2 taking place in September 17th. So that those dates are starting to get lined up. In this particular fight, the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight, if it could happen, I think if it's going to happen, it is going to happen in the October timeframe. It would probably happen like maybe 2 weeks after, or the month after the Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin fight, which date we already know is set. And those guys are not going to. Now, there were reports out there, and not unreasonable reports, right? And like, again, I'm telling you, I'm not boxing media. Get confused for that a lot of times. I'm telling you, unless somebody calls me specifically and gives me specific information, 99 times out of 10, I'm relying on the same information that is publicly available information, as long as you're reading all the articles and listening to the interviews that are available, to everybody else. So, the report's not unreasonable to say that fight that they could be trying to get the September 17th date. However, you already know from the way that fights have been laid out over the last several years for Canelo Alvarez, that his go dates are Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day. So you have the 3rd of May date, and then you're going to have the second week, usually the second weekend, around this 15th, 16th, 17th, right around there in September. And those have been very big fight dates for a while. And so, for example, Tommy Hearns versus Sugar Ray Leonard in 1982 was on September 16th. And that's the first time I, as a boxing fan, started noticing that trend of that particular date. But the PBC has been doing dates more so in the October time frame, and in the early December time frame, maybe like 2 weeks before Christmas. And those have been the dates where you've seen Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fights take place. So if this fight's going to happen, I think it's going to be around that date. So if it's around that date, the announcement that the fight would take place, I think you can probably expect, if they're going to do it, in this next wave of initial fights being laid out. So we'll see if Ishe Smith is correct in that fight being done. I hope that he is. Again, Jake Donovan of Boxing Scene says that that's not the case. But like I said, things can change. There could be information that is out there that Ishe is familiar with. It did not come out in a public statement by Steven Espinoza, but we'll see. Keep track of it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.